So the first thing we're going to discuss, we're going to talk about Minecraft. Minecraft has got a new DLC. A new DLC for Sonic the Hedgehog? I saw this and I was like, wait a minute, what? But the more I watched it, the more I was intrigued. I was like, oh, it's not just Sonic skins, because that was the first thing that popped in my head. Was like, oh, it's just we're gonna have to pay for a Sonic skin. But it's got this racing mode, which looks like a blocky Sonic. It looks like they got some pre-made levels too, unless they're just lying to us here. Race with your friends. I think this is where it clicked with me, where you can race with your friends in true Sonic fashion, right? And before we even get into this, it's like I had to stop and pause for a second, because it's like we're living in an age where the video had a Nintendo Switch intro for a Sonic game, which is made by Sega, for a DLC for a game which is owned by Microsoft. Now, if you would have told this to me like 20, 30 years ago, I would have slapped you in the face. Back when the Sega Genesis was out, Nintendo and Xbox and all that, I would have slapped you in the face. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's no way that would happen. And here we are. Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sega doing a trifecta right in front of us. I gotta admit though, it looks like they put some time into it. I don't see the price anywhere. I imagine it's gonna be like less than 20 bucks. Probably gonna be like 10, 15 bucks. From the department of, oh my goodness, department of why in the world would you do this department? You remember back in the day when I played the Division? I think it was the Division 2. I was on voice comms, right? And I had left my voice comms open by accident. And the guy heard me. And then I immediately got DDoSed. Like the stream went offline, the game quit, everything. I got DDoSed. My IP address was being exposed through the client because it's using peer-to-peer voice, right? And I complained about that. I was like, that's a big issue for people like me who stream. And the guy knew I was streaming because I left my mic on and I was talking to my chat. He was like, I'm gonna find out who this guy is and I'm gonna DDoS him. He DDoSed me, knocked me offline, and I had to get my IP changed. So when I saw this article today, got me thinking. I'm like, man, they got to do something better about this. Marvel's Avengers. Y'all remember this game? That there's a problem on the PS5 version of Marvel's Avengers, where there's, you know, like you've ever been in an alpha or something in a game, and they show your name on the screen and they move it back and forth in case you like try to show footage. If you're like under some kind of NDA, they would do that to protect the content. There was something like that showing on the PS5 version, but they had your name and it had your IP address. But I saw some comments of players who are like, oh, well, that doesn't, who cares? I don't mind. You know, all these apologetic people, all these copium folks. Who cares? That's not a big deal. You guys are just trying to get clicks. I could show some metrics to these guys of like how many people actually live stream now, especially right from their consoles. How many people live stream on Twitch? How many people share their desktop? How many people stream on Discord? How many people stream to whatever? Millions of people stream their content, right? And to expose your IP address this easily is kind of a breach of privacy. An IP address is like your home address. I don't know if people get that parallel. It's like giving somebody your physical home address. They can come to your house and they can egg your car, or they can break your windows, they can do something malicious to you, or they can send you some gag gifts or something, since they know your home address. Your IP address is very similar. Unless you're using like some kind of masking, like a VPN or something like that, they can do things to your network, knowing your IP address. You are vulnerable. It is a breach of privacy, whether you care about it or not. So all the naysayers out there saying this is not news, it is news. And you should not be showing people's IP address. Actually, I hate games where, I think even Elite Dangerous did this at one point. I don't know if they still do it. You go into the network settings of your settings and it just shows your IP address. Like, I don't need to see that. So this is a big snafu. And they've been very careful. I've been noticing the tweets. They've been very careful about showing, or been talking about what's actually showing. If you look at the tweet here, they said PlayStation 5 players should refrain from streaming or posting screenshots. That's another thing I didn't mention. Screenshots will show this stuff. Post these screenshots online until then, as sensitive information might be displayed. Sensitive information. This is what it looks like. You have this, Paul Tassi posted this screenshot. And you can see his name down here, and he's blotted out the personal information at the bottom. So it's kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal. And as a streamer, I'm very sensitive to this kind of stuff. There's no reason to show that. Like, for real. Now, my guess is that debug code leaked. Like, some debug code was left into the build, and they got it out. They probably had that information for bugs. I know as a QA tester, having some kind of diagnostic information showing in screenshots can help, especially in video games where you may need to know your location, your IP address could be something they may need, so they can do some network tracing on the logs or stuff. So like, it's great debug information. So that my suspicion is that was some debug info that made it to the final build. But either way, it's pretty bad. It's worse than the HBO Max guys sending an email to everybody, that's for sure. That integration test email #1. This is actually more. This is worse than that intern. So I wonder if an intern did this. Should they go on record to say that intern is now being consoled and we're buying him donuts because we hurt his feelings? I tell you, social media is something else. On today's stream, we're going to be playing Final Fantasy 14 patch 5.57. I actually didn't know what was in this. I had nothing to go on, but the patch notes came out early this morning. I was actually up for this. And there isn't a whole lot here. Weekly tokens increases are happening. You can loot or you can access multiple areas. Instead of just like once a week, you can do it multiple times. So that's kind of what's going on here with Eden's Promise, which is the latest raid tier. So there's also been adjustments to the Alliance raids, the tower, the Nier Automata 24-man raid is now part of the roulette, which is cool. And some other drop changes, some minor changes. This line here, and I almost lost it. I was like, oh, they put it in early. I thought this was cross data center play until I read this. What they're actually adding here is that you'll be able to visit another world upon login, in case your server's full. So I'm in the Primal data center. Say Leviathan is packed because Asmongold decides to play there for whatever reason. Let's hope that doesn't happen. I'm gonna call this an Asmongold patch, because the day Asmongold, which is a WoW personality on Twitch and YouTube, the day he plays Final Fantasy, because he says he's gonna play Final Fantasy 14, whatever server he picks is going to get destroyed. So this is the Asmon patch. What this is going to allow you to do is that if your server is full, because everybody's trying to play with Asmon, you can go to Famfrit. So I'm on Primal, and I usually go to Leviathan, so I can just go to Famfrit and do what I need to do, because it's in the same data center. But I actually thought this was cross data center travel, and I got excited. But the main thing about this patch, which I'm really happy about, and we knew it was coming, we knew they were going to do some kind of a nerf to the relic grind. I call it a nerf because it's going to require less time. And the second to the last step, which was last patch's last step, you have to do 15 runs of this dungeon, this raid dungeon called Delubrum Reginae. 15 runs, probably the longest step. I think it's safe to say that this is the longest step out of all of them. The Fates probably, no, this is probably the longest step, because there's really no shortcut to this unless everybody pops their potions, which never happens these days. They've nerfed it. Now, instead of it dropping 1 token that you need for your relic weapon, it drops 3. That's gonna save hours. So I was doing this run this morning, right? And I just wanted to verify, and a lot of people in here, a ton of people in here were talking about how that they are going to get all their relics now. They're like, I stopped at my first one, or like I got to this step and I did about 5 Delubrum runs, and I was like, I'm not going to do it anymore because it's taking too long. I'm gonna wait. I heard they might nerf it, so I'm gonna wait till then. And like I was having conversations with the people in the group, and a lot of people said they're gonna get them all now, because this cuts this step. It basically cuts it by 66%, because you're going from 1 to 3. And the very last step takes no time at all. So this is the second to the last step, which was arguably the longest step. And now you only have to do 5 runs instead of 15. That's a huge deal. That's kind of an enormous deal. And I think it's going to encourage a lot more people in Final Fantasy to get their relic. A ton of people. Like, I was already playing it. I said I'm going to try to get all mine. I don't know if I will, because I got to get all my jobs to 80 first. But here it is. So here's the end. You can see the Time Worn artifact pops up at the right. is gonna pop up 3 times. It's like ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And it's a beautiful sound. It is a beautiful, beautiful sound. I love it to death. So we're gonna be doing that more so than we had originally planned because it's a lot easier. But 5.57 is out. Patch notes are out. You can go check them out. 5.58 is what I'm looking forward to. We're gonna have cross data center travel. I'm gonna be able to run dungeons with y'all. I get to rescue you off of cliffs. We're gonna have a good time. You excited for Reaper? I'll have to see. I'm gonna see how it plays. I was surprised by Dragoon, so maybe Reaper will surprise me too. I'm not really sold on the whole pet thing. If it was just straight sickle class, straight scythe class, whatever. I keep calling it sickle. If it was just a straight scythe class, I'd probably be more excited. But the whole pet thing, I don't know. I'll have to wait and see how they do that. It may not be a big deal. That's why I'm reserving judgment. I'm not saying it's gonna suck or anything. Sage though, Sage looks more intriguing than Reaper to me because I like how the weapon looks. I have no idea how the class is gonna play, but I just like having Gundam healing drones. That's just really cool to me. Very shallow take, but it's the truth. They look cool, so Sage looks cool to me. Did they say if they're gonna release a job video or not? Like a job feature? Remember how they did with Shadowbringers? Did they say they were gonna do that or not? Because if they are, I think that'll answer a lot of questions. I know they're gonna, the live letter is in a couple weeks, right? So maybe we'll get either the video or some news about the video. I'm anticipating news about the video.